Trista, the Bills will be the only high seed in the AFC wildcard to win, meaning Houston will lose at home to Cleveland, and Kansas City will lose at home to Miami. Bills only high seed to win. Change my mind.
I think I like that, actually. I don't trust Kansas City. Looks like we've got a couple of guys, Jalen Waddle, probably Mostert, going to come back and play against Kansas City for the Dolphins. So I like the Dolphins in that spot. It does feel like it's shaping up to be Bills-Dolphins again. As Michael Penix gets sacked. And listen, like, the Browns are just rolling right now. As much as I love the Texans and I like the story and they're a fun young team, I just don't know that they're going to be able to do much even at home against this defense. So, yeah, I could see it.
The reason why I won't say that is only because I'm concerned about all of the injuries on Miami's defense. They've got no pass rush left, and they've got no depth, and they've got no experience there. Now, you get Jalen Waddle back. We know that offense can outrun anybody if you're going to be able to do that against Kansas City. But Kansas City's defense is now one of the best in the NFL.
Tyreek's dinged, too.
Tyreek is dinged. I'm just concerned about all of the injuries with Miami right now, and I know we've done all of this week after week about the receivers that Kansas City has and the drops. But it is the playoffs. It is Andy Reid. It is Patrick Mahomes against the defense that now reverts back to what Miami was earlier in the year when they couldn't stop anybody because everybody's hurt right now.
Yeah, I'm on Nick's side. That was one of the first games I bet. I like the Chiefs at 3.5. I like the money line at -185 just because the game's at Arrowhead. It's Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. Everybody's down on them right now. But I think Spags and that defense will figure things out. And the Dolphins, until they prove me wrong, I think of them as like a Pac-12 team, like as Washington or Oregon, a flashy team, a bunch of offensive weapons. But other than that Dallas game, like what's a game where they showed you that they're a tough physical football team? And I think the Chiefs are that. I mean, the Chiefs have survived this season because of their defense.
Pacheco's going to probably go crazy in that game.
Yeah, I think this should be a big Pacheco game.
You know what? It should be. There should be more Pacheco week after week. I just feel like his usage has been inconsistent every single week for somebody that you can count on in the run game, in the pass game. Really, that type of hybrid running back that we talk about, right, that you need more of in the NFL. That guys, if you want to play running back in today's NFL, you've got to be an Isaiah Pacheco, a Christian McCaffrey, a James Cook. Name all the guys that can catch balls out of the backfield. And he's somebody that is a great weapon for both of those. Although I saw a meme, and it was hilarious. You can find it on Twitter. And it showed Isaiah Pacheco running, and I'm never going to be able to unsee this now. And it said, Isaiah Pacheco runs like a kid trying on a new pair of shoes at the store. And he just, how he has kind of like this weird, like, stomping run? Yeah. I can't unsee it now. I can't unsee it. It's like a 10-year-old running. It's Nathan running with trying on a new pair of shoes at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Just wait until I tell you about what Patrick Mahomes looks like, a baby with too much poo-poos in his diapers.
There's that, too.
Now, part of it might be a little bit, okay, Cleveland just played in Houston a couple weeks ago and won, but let's keep in mind, as I'm sure the three of you have discussed, that C.J. Stroud did not play in that game. So I think you kind of have to throw that out. What he said is he thinks it's a result of the market not typically trusting a rookie quarterback in this situation. And more so, he said the success rate of a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach is pretty low. So the market tends to bet against that. So I think that's part of what's going on with that number starting 1.5 and already getting out to Browns 2.5.
What about Dolphins Chiefs? Dolphins 3.5-point dog. Listen, Kansas City hasn't been good all year. We can't really trust them, but they're at Arrowhead, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. And the Dolphins have lost a lot defensively and have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert all dinged up.
Right. This is just, to your point about Kansas City, yes, this is not the Kansas City Chiefs team that won the Super Bowl last February. But also to your point, Trista, Miami banged up. More defensive injuries last night. As the oddsmaker I spoke with on Sunday night said, it's just not the same team. And as he said, he went on to say, when these two teams played in Germany, it actually closed Dolphins -1. And recall, Kansas City won that game. He said, this ain't that. And it's going to be freezing cold. On top of all the advantages the Chiefs have with playing at home at Arrowhead, it's going to be like bone-numbing cold. The wind chill could be below 0 if the forecast plays out the way it is showing early in the week. And he said, look, that's not Dolphins weather. You've got a quarterback from Hawaii who's never started a playoff game. Keep in mind that Tagovailoa was hurt last year, I believe, when the Dolphins went to Buffalo, right, for the playoffs. Yeah. So you got a quarterback from Hawaii who's never started a playoff game against a guy who's played a zillion of these cold home playoff games. So just doesn't feel like that's setting up well for the Dolphins, even with the Chiefs being much more suspect than they have been in previous years.
like a lot of the public loves the Lions, everything that they're about, that offense, both running backs, defensively against the run. They've been fun. Obviously, Dan Campbell eating kneecaps and all that. And then you got Matt Stafford going back to the place where he started his career and became really, a franchise quarterback. What is the book need going to be here?
It's a little tricky. So the odds maker I spoke with Sunday night, Trista, said they opened three minus 120 on Detroit. And the reason they did that is they thought 3.5 would invite the wise guys on the dog really quickly. The Rams have had a pretty good second half of the season. And he said it's even with the Lions being a popular public team, and if you go all the way back to the middle of last season, their record against the spread is tremendous. He said it's hard to say how the public is going to bet this because he thinks the public has embraced the Lions this year, but also they've been let down by the Lions a couple of crucial times. That said, he said, I think we'll need the Rams to the point I was just making a moment ago. He said it's a night game in Detroit. He said anytime there are 3 games, standalone games, and the first 2 teams are pretty sizable favorites, it's pretty easy for the public to put its money line parlays together, and because their thinking is Buffalo plus Dallas plus Detroit equals profit, right?
Yeah.
Just like it did on Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day, right? Yeah, we all saw how that worked out. So
Yeah.
It could be a little tricky there.
Breaking NBA news. This came out of absolutely nowhere. The Grizzlies just announced a couple of minutes ago that Ja Morant is done for the season with shoulder surgery. He has a torn labrum in his shoulder after ongoing soreness. He's done for the year.
Brutal.
10 games, and
Lost
that's
season.
it.
Lost season for Memphis this
Oh,
year. My
jeez.
League Pass team 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They've been
And
replaced.
3 years ago.
Yeah, they've been replaced by the Thunder now. And, that
and rightfully
sucks.
so. The Thunder are great.
It sucks, and I know there's plenty of season to go, but they weren't doing anything this year anyway, so just get them right, because, that's like the one good thing that you have. That, Jaren Jackson. I like Bane still, but
Real
without
quick,
Steven
speaking of the
Adams-
Thunder, Chet Holmgren over 27.5 points and rebounds against the Wizards. Ding,
Oh,
ding.
yeah.
Every single time a center plays the Wizards, you take the over on points and rebounds. You just do it. Auto bet every single time.
Wow, it looks like Chet had 31 points.
Only 4 boards, though.
Yeah, I know.
But he still went over. That's it. I don't
It's
care.
okay, he was in the parlay with Tyrese Halliburton. I knew that was dead as soon as Tyrese left.
Oh,
the game.
yeah. So Tyrese Halliburton's also getting an MRI on his hamstring.
It's horrible.
No word on what that's going to be just yet, but we do know now Ja Morant, the breaking news, done for the season with shoulder surgery. I guess it happened on Saturday, and the Grizzlies just announced that now.
Yeah, and we got 10 games of Ja Morant, and we saw the antics. We saw the electricity that Ja Morant has on a night-to-night basis. He is by far, to me, the most insanely entertaining player on planet Earth. And I always say on a Tuesday in January, not just when the games matter the most in the postseason, but like on any given night, the things that he will do. And he did it against the Pelicans twice. He came back, had game winners down with like 2 seconds left to go. He's in the tunnel. He's trolling them with their dance with New Orleans, his own dance, right? Like on the cue. So we get 25 game suspension, and we're wondering, is Memphis the worst roster in all of the NBA without Ja? And now we're going to see, because we only get 10 games of Ja, and we had like, oh, could this be a play-in team? They've been rolling. Maybe this is the team that can play Minnesota again in the first round if they sneak into the playoffs. That's all done. Now it's like, okay, do they trade for Terry Rozier, who probably doesn't want to play for the Charlotte Hornets anymore? Do they care? This is a pretty weak draft.
Yeah, it is.
So
It's
do
not,
they?
Yeah, not a year to tank.
Yeah, you don't really want to tank. What do you actually do as a team and as a franchise? I think you try to keep the morale as high as possible. Maybe you decide to trade Marcus Smart because this is a lost year and they probably don't work well together. The only reason they got Marcus Smart to begin with is because Ja was out 25 games. Now he's out a bunch of games, and you're not going anywhere with or without Marcus Smart. So maybe just a little bit of a fire sale.
I think they do one thing and one thing only. They trade Derrick Rose to Chicago so he could end his career
Retire?
as a Bull. No, but I mean, like with Memphis, I didn't really expect them to win like 55, 60 games this season, but I mean, it was a disaster from the start because you lose Steven Adams for the year, and that's a big
And
loss.
Brandon Clark.
And Brandon Clark, wasn't that last year too?
No,
like
yeah,
he never
last
came
year.
right,
Yeah,
late
he
in the
come back,
season
yep.
though, right? And now you kind of have to like reset things too. I mean, because as is, do you think that team's good enough to compete with like now
No.
what we're seeing, like Minnesota?
No.
Yeah, me either.
I don't
Even
think
if
they're-
Ja was healthy and Steven Adams was healthy,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, right now, I don't think they're good enough to compete with anyone. I don't think they're good enough to
No.
compete with the San Antonio Spurs.
Maybe the Pistons.
Yeah, but the Pistons right now are competing.
Right,
They
I
actually
know.
look pretty good.
Yeah.
This is a team that you should absolutely fade against the spread for the rest of the season. Just do it now, because in the public's eyes, Memphis has been rolling. They've been finding their mojo. Without Ja, this team is an anchor against the spread. I don't know what they were. I don't remember what they were against the spread without Ja. I can find out. But I'm telling you, it was like maybe 10% against the spread.
This news came completely out of the blue, but just looking over BetMGM's odds from last week, which they'll be probably updating I believe this is from last week. I don't think this is from today. Yeah, it was from a few days ago. And look, to Ryan's point, you're not really sure what the Grizz were going to do this season anyway, but they were 101, and I'm looking right now at NBA odds, and they are 300 to 1. So, and now, in fact, they are 300 to 1. 300 to 1.
Wow.